I think without further ado, we go on to our second speaker of this round, which is Michael Macher. He is an alumni of the FH in multiple studies, and he's now working at Humanizing Technologies, 7 years of experience in all-round innovation and technologies. And he will give us a talk about a year in AI, exploring OpenAI integration and lessons learned. So we'll just wait until his microphone is hooked up, and then we can give a round of applause to Michael.
Thanks for the introduction. In the mid-20th century, Alan Turing posed the question, could machines think? Thus setting off a race of developing artificial intelligence. Decades later, in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeated chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov. Fast forward to 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT for the broad public, thus setting a new milestone in AI history. And let's do a quick check. How many of you, put your hands up, were early adopters? Who used ChatGPT as soon as it came out? That's quite a lot. Who is still using it now? Very good. Can you remember your first prompt that you tried with ChatGPT?
Are you a large language model? Are you artificial general intelligence?
That's a very good question. Are you artificial general intelligence? And what did it say?
I'm a large language model trained by OpenAI, and such, something like no.
Exactly, something we all know. And it's nice that you remember it. And I also still remember my first prompt. I am Michael, I'm a tech all-rounder and solutions architect at Humanizing Technologies. So my day-to-day job is translating the ideas of customers into real-world solutions. And my first prompt was, can it do my job? So I gave it our system specifications, and I was like, I have this idea, create me an outline on how to do this with our software. And it could, and that was the moment that I was hooked. Before we dive into more hands-on approaches and real-world examples of how we integrated OpenAI, let's briefly talk about the why. AI is changing our everyday workflows, as all of you probably know. And you might think, but how are we going to learn about anything like this in this talk? Well, at the end, I hope to give you a few things that you can walk out of with. And that should be actionable insights and the actual strategies that you can use to implement AI in your companies. And also at the end of the talk, I have a small present for you, which you can take home with you, but more about that later. A few months into ChatGPT, I was thinking, how good can that stuff actually be? What can it do? Where are its capabilities really lying? And I have the honor of teaching some of the most wonderful minds here at the UAS St. Pölten. So I asked ChatGPT to create a full-blown 4-hour course about databases. And I taught it each and every word as it gave it to me, each slide, each sentence. And it got evaluated with 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is really impressive. Let's take a brief moment. How long would you take to create a 4-hour course about databases that gets evaluated that good? A few minutes? Or a few hours? Or maybe even a few days? For me, it takes me a lot more than a few minutes. And usually, also my lectures are evaluated pretty nice. So let's take a step back. How can we now use this powerful tool and implement it into real-world use cases? And what do we do at Humanizing Technologies? Well, first, let me give you a brief overview of what we do. So we are Humanizing Technologies, a software developing company. And we got famous for creating software for Pepper, the humanoid robot. And we very, very, very quickly realized the future of IT and technology does not lie in hardware. It lies in software. So we created a new software platform called plural.io, which basically allows all of you to program your own virtual robots. And why is that important? Because we can talk to them, we can speak with them, they can speak with us. And that's a lot of potential for AI, let's be honest here. So what do they actually do? Well, I brought 2 examples with me. This is Fritz. Fritz works at receptions in German hotels and actually checks you in if you go there. And we also have Kim, which is a digital banking assistant at the German Sparkassen. So of course, the first thing our customers asked when ChatGPT was released is, can you implement that into your avatars? And we wanted to, but at first we did not have any API for ChatGPT. And when it finally released the API, we of course implemented it. Does anyone here know what the problem with the API was compared to ChatGPT? The API does not remember any context. So we were trying to solve this issue. And apparently it's a one-liner. So we got that covered, which was nice at that point. But our customers were like, okay, but can we just use the power of everything you do without the avatars? We just want the intelligence behind that. And yes, you can. Let me give you an example. Let's look at the following scenario. Let's say you have a spec sheet for, in that case, my laptop, and you just upload that to one of our software features, and you tell it, hey, it's a laptop from Asus, it's a ZenBook Pro, and please generate me a promotion page for tech enthusiasts with a technical and detailed explanation. And then we hit the generate button, and what it gives us is a complete landing page for this product, completely generated with AI. And now you can just copy-paste this to Amazon, MediaMarkt, Cyberport, whoever is it that you work for, and you don't need 8 people working full-time doing that anymore. Then I took a step back. I was like, okay, I've got this talk coming up. When did we start with AI at Humanizing? Or at least with OpenAI? And we started in 2021. When I sent this screenshot to our CTO, he was like, what the hell? How can it be that long? It only feels like a mere 10 years. And I'm sure all of you know that OpenAI's features and artificial intelligence in general can be super, super nice and get things going for you, but it can be equally frustrating. So what do we take away from AI? How do we implement it? How do we really change the world? Imagine the following scenario. You are a pilot. You can fly planes through the sky. You're the hero of many, many children. But even heroes can go wrong at some time. Because if you don't remember, after landing, which one is the handbrake and which one isn't, and you're like, this looks like the right one. Is it the right one? I think it should be fine. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. The thing that we have to ask ourselves as technicians and tech enthusiasts at this point is, how can we now leverage those tools to create systems that you can ask questions to? In our case, for example, the digital avatars. And they should actually take the knowledge that we give them, retrieve knowledge, and give it back to you as an answer that feels like magic. And then you're happy, because you got your answer right. And how do we build this system? Well, in general, the question is how we build the thing up there. And for that, we need to understand 2 concepts. The one is embeddings, the other is retrieval augmented generation. So let's go through that real quick. So for the embeddings part, imagine you have documents, you have data in your companies, and you want to take that data and train your AI with it. So we take it, we split it into small chunks, and then we try to convert it into embeddings. What are embeddings? They can look like something on the slide. Let's take a step back. Let's have a look here. So we have walking and walked, And apparently, those two are in a relation with each other. And we also have swimming and swam. So what our LLM just learned is verb tenses. And we can do the same thing for all kinds of concepts. Because Germany has a capital called Berlin. And Turkey has a capital that is called Ankara. And that's embeddings. And that's how we teach our LLMs how to actually work with our data. So we got that point covered too. Now we just need to store that somewhere in a vector database, for example. And then there's one more thing that's very important. Give it a fancy name. And then we come to the part that is called retrieval augmented generation, where the right-hand part is basically what I just told you about as this knowledge base. How does this work? Well, we usually always start with a user query. And for that, let me give you a real-world example. The mother of our CTO was on vacation, and she was renting a Tesla. And she was driving somewhere, and the battery was running low. And she barely made it to the next supercharger. But she had one small problem. She did not know how to open the charging flap in a Tesla. And at that point, also the Tesla didn't tell her where to do this, because she didn't know how to use the tablet. So she called up Dimi, and he was like, yeah, you have to do this and that. But why can't we build a system that automatically gives her the answer, that takes her query and turns the query into embeddings too? And then we try to retrieve some context. So we take our embedding of the query, we take the embeddings of our data that we stored before, and we try to retrieve some context. Let me give you an example of how that looks. If this is our data, and our query is we want to search for a kitten, then the closest context to it would be a cat. And if anyone is already falling asleep, please take this very moment and appreciate a picture of a cute kitten. So we got the retrieve part covered. And we then take the context, the user query, and our system prompt. We augment the data with it, and we let the LLM generate an answer for us. And then we have a result that we can post to our users. And how do you sell this to companies? Well, you go there and you say, upload your documents. AI magic happens in the background. You profit. But Michael, is this safe? Let me give you an example. We have a company that we work with from the big pharma industry. And they want to use the avatars with the system I just showed you to replace the package insert. So you can ask an avatar, hey, I took too much aspirin C. Now my stomach hurts. What should I do? And then you have one point that gives you an answer instead of having to read the whole package insert. And one more thing, because I just think it's very cool and I love to use this. Let's briefly meet Chase. I don't know if anyone has ever tried the voice chat of GPT-4. If you don't, hey Chase, can you briefly greet the audience? We're live right now.
Hello everyone. I hope you're enjoying Michael's presentation so far. It's great to be here with you all. Let's dive into the world of generative AI and explore some exciting possibilities together. Feel free to ask any questions as we go along.
Thank you, Chase, for that. And if you're asking, why is he showing us that? Well,
if you have any questions,
thank you, Chase.
Assistance during the presentation, feel free to ask. Let's make this a great experience for everyone.
You see, even AI sometimes wants to take the stage, and it does at the same. But where do I want to go with this? Well, when I'm in the car, when I'm walking, when I'm commuting, and I have an idea, I usually fire up the voice chat, and I brainstorm with GPT. And at the end of the day, when I get home, I sit in front of my PC, and I have the fully blown system specifications, concept details, and everything written down, structured in a very good format. And one more thing for the future of AI is Grok. I don't know if you know Grok. Grok develops language processing units, and it's blazingly fast. So let's try it here with Postman. So we say, can you also briefly tell us something about Alan Turing? We're at the Saint right now. And then we will hit send. And it answers blazingly fast. 978 milliseconds, a fully blown answer. And that gives us now the speed and the power of AI that's so fast that you don't even recognize that the computer is thinking anymore. And if I can give you one tip that you will remember, get your prompts right. If you know how to prompt the AI, you already have more than half of what you need to get good results. And now for the final part of the presentation. Do you still remember what I said earlier? Exactly, the present. So everybody get your smartphones and your QR code readers ready, because I have a small demo where you can get your own avatar with a knowledge base that scans your website ready for you that you can take home with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you had fun. I hope that you have learned and that you feel inspired to use AI. Because at the end of the day, AI is not just for big tech or tech wizards. It's for all of us. So if you walk out of this room, remember one thing. You do have the tools to become better. You do have the drive to become great. And all of you have the curiosity to become outstanding. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to one single thing. Thank you.